Morbius.
Dr.
Michael Morbius.
Dr. Michael Morbius.
I like how we're so like good at calling him a doctor. Like, if anything, we didn't. This movie wasn't too great, but at least we call him doctor.
At least we respect him
Everyone
at that point.
calls him doctor.
Now, if you wouldn't mind, I think I'm gonna do a plot overview as we often do in this.
I would love it if you guided us through
Please.
this plot.
But instead of
Please.
finding a website to articulate us through this, I'm just gonna go through it, and then if I start
to
making
preface
faces,
this for our viewers, Danon's seen this 2 times,
Twice.
in the
I've
past 2 days.
I've seen this movie more time. I've seen this movie the same amount of times I've seen the Batman, and I'd rather watch that vampire than this one. But we'll explain
Nice.
more
That
in
was a
just
good
a
joke.
second. So, Dr. Michael Morbius has a blood disease that is causing him to die, as blood diseases do, and so he wants to find a cure. But only thing that can help him cure that, he can see, being a doctor, man of science, he knows that bats have an anticoagulant to help blood go all nice and loosey-goosey. So he splices bat DNA with him. But you know what else is bat DNA in humans? Vampires.
Yes.
An often hard cornerstone of science. So once he starts mixing that together, he turns into Morbius, which is still his name. He just
Just
stays
his last
Morbius.
name.
Yeah.
But he's the living vampire because he doesn't get burnt up by the sun. He has none of the weaknesses, all of the cliches.
Yeah.
You think when whoever made this character was a Stan Lee?
No, probably
When
not.
whoever made this character, they were just like, what if we introduced a vampire that wasn't traditional?
But I hate
That's
to tell you this.
exactly what they did, I'm sure.
I'm going to be honest, man. What do you think they did when they made Blade? Because he is a vampire.
Is he
Yeah.
actually?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know what Blade was. I'm sorry.
Who Blade is.
Yeah. Blade's not a
Jerk.
sword. He's a person.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, once he becomes a vampire, hijinks ensue. But it's pretty much just who murdered these guys on this ship? It was Morbius. We all saw it in the trailers. But these police officers are chasing him down, and they're trying to get to the truth. That is the better film that they could have made with this. What actually happens is his other buddy, who also has a blood disease, finds out that Dr. Michael Morbius is a vampire. This is in the trailers. And then you don't know what's going to happen next. You know what's going to happen next. And then the film has 20 minutes left that it needs to fill.
Oh my God, I just came up with such a great concept for this film.
Let's go through your good concept before we continue.
No, I'm gonna write it down because it's kind of spoilery. I don't want to ruin anyone's Morbius experience.
We'll try to stay as spoiler-free as we can while just going into this car accident of a film. The characters, we have Dr. Michael Morbius, because I misspelt it, Morbius. Michael Morbius, Jared Leto's most tame role in the past few years, if we're being honest.
Yeah, no, I was watching him like, oh, he's gonna be so broken, so damaged, like Jared
It
Leto.
kind of just looked like Jared
Joker.
Leto.
But no, this is Jared Leto.
There's a
It's just-
distinct part where you go, oh, here's the sexy Jared Leto shot. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
next second afterwards, like, yeah.
Yeah.
And every
I
time
lived for that part.
I see
I'll
him,
tell ya.
I'm like, this guy's 50. That's insane.
No,
He's 50.
He's
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
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 He looks way better than I will
I know,
ever
right?
look.
Yeah.
Like,
I've ever looked.
Props to the
Dude,
guy. Like, I feel horrible that he's
We
in
talk
these
so
films.
much about. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. He's 50. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, I will gladly talk
How-
about this movie.
No,
Maybe we
not the
should
movie.
talk-
We're talking
maybe-
Jared Leto. If we're
Mhm.
talking about Jared Leto, you know, good actor, great actor, I would say.
Oscar award-winning actor.
Oscar award-winning
Don't watch
actor.
Suicide Squad.
or Morbius.
Or
well,
Morbius for that.
Listen to this podcast for Morbius. You don't need to.
You
go
don't
see
need to
it.
watch it.
Um,
We are the movie at this point.
Yeah.
Dr. Michael Morbius, he only saves lives. He doesn't take them. Unless he's got a hankering for that old red sauce that we have
Mhm.
up in us.
Gotta
But
get
lucky
that
for
red.
him, he invented artificial blood, which is probably the most insane thing to ever be created in
Yeah,
a film.
and then he
Awesome.
rejected the Nobel Prize, which you just like. I could. Not
I didn't even think you
imagine.
could do that.
Yeah, I guess you could.
There's
but,
so
So,
many
like,
what was
cases.
his
that would-
reasoning for rejecting that? Because I don't feel like it was very clear.
It
I
wasn't.
think
It
he
was
just
him saying like,
didn't
"I didn't
like-
finish my life's work. I'm supposed to heal me, so it doesn't even count. I don't deserve it yet."
No, I think the thing was he didn't like the system, and he was
Yeah.
like down with the system.
Down
but-
with the
but
system.
he
Everyone should have
never really
artificial blood.
explained. Yeah,
What system, brother?
I don't know. But the
What's he
artificial
doing?
blood, what color would you assume the artificial blood was if I say artificial blood?
Red.
red.
It's bright blue Go-Gurt colored.
Yeah,
Bright
And
blue Go-Gurt color.
And when he gets a hankering, sometimes he grabs a punch of that artificial blood. It goes. It looks like me when I get a Go-Gurt pod.
dude,
and I'm
he
hungry.
really freaking into his mouth.
Yeah.
It's something else.
I will say, never finishes an entire bag once. It
Oh,
just
yeah.
gets like halfway through and then he
Yeah.
throws it on the ground.
I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, you
Does
should
that a
at least
lot.
like get all that's in there. Like maybe like
There's like a very big point of this film where he's timing how long he takes before the monster comes back.
Yeah.
Why not finish one full bag of blood and then see? I've been drinking less blood and I've been having
half
less
gallons
time.
and I'm slowly decreasing time. I don't know what's happening.
But yeah, Dr. Michael
Stupid.
Morbius
I
is
did-
awesome.
Yeah, I did like the whole like experimenting thing. I was like, that's definitely something that like a scientist / doctor would do, is like try and see their limits first of all. That was cool. That
I
was
would
a
have
nice touch.
appreciated something of like he had to be forced in this position rather than there was no pressure for him to do this. He
I
just
think
decided.
he was like forced by the fact that him and his friend are like
Dying,
on their deathbed.
yeah.
They're like about to die from their terminal illness.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Do you
talk about
say-
their age really quickly because we just talked about how Jared Leto's 50.
Yeah.
right?
They seem to
He
be like
got his-
35 in this film.
He got his doctorate at the age of 19.
That's insane.
So, I feel like he did artificial blood like probably not long after, like probably like at least within the next 10 years, like before he was 30. So like I'd say he's around 30 this film. Is that what we're supposed to
I
believe?
think he's like
goodness.
30, 35 because it said 25 years ago, right? And
Oh, yeah,
he
yeah,
looked
good
about
point.
like 10 years old.
Yeah, okay. So he's like 35 and then Milo,
Milo's probably around the same age.
a little younger.
Maybe a
couple years
younger.
younger.
Oh, I gotta explain who Milo
Well,
is. Of course.
neither of them look 30. I'm gonna point that out.
Matt Ryan, Doctor Who.
Doctor.
He is in this film. He's playing Morbius's buddy, the buddy I alluded to in this story, where he finds out he's a vampire. You know what's going to happen. But his real Lucian, great guy, calls him Milo for whatever reason.
He called everyone in that bed to the right of him Milo. And I was like, why did he just take that? Why was he just not like, no,
So-
call me Lucian?
So very important Morbius film lore. Morbius and Lucian are orphans,
Mhm.
and or they had to go to a home for children. They both have the same blood disease. Apparently, everyone died of that blood disease except for Morbius, who sat next to him. Which maybe Morbius is just offing kids in his sleep, so that way he gets the bed to himself. But when Lucian shows up, you know what? Maybe they hit it off. I couldn't tell you. There's literally a 1 minute scene of them as children.
Okay. Can I jump in? I think that this movie was supposed to be much longer and much more like they were supposed to dive much deeper into these backstories. I think from like the very surface level information we were given on these characters, it looks like Morbius in his childhood is supposed to be like, I don't want to form attachments because I think I'm going to die soon.
Mhm.
And then that carries over into his adult life because he goes away to school and he loses his one friend he made at the home. I think we were supposed to see their relationship play out more in the hospital.
Mhm.
And then this nurse, doctor, what's her name?
Martine.
Dr. Martine, I think was supposed to be the one who kind of shows him how to be kind of like human again. You know, like he was hardened from childhood due to his disease. Now that his disease is fixed, he has to fix himself mentally. I think there's supposed to be some more like context.
You know, take
with all
out the
these people.
vampire. You got a solid like love
That's what I'm
story
saying.
in this
But they
movie.
took out all the love story and all the stuff that would have made these characters much more interesting and put in CGI.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we also have Dr. Martine Bancroft, which is the love interest in
Mhm.
this film, and also a doctor as well. I don't know if these two are actual doctors. I'm gonna be honest. Following the Hippocratic Oath and everything
Yes.
about that. I don't know. They're very
Well, you did-
wishy-washy.
He did say in
Yeah.
the movie, I won't need my medical license for much longer.
Maybe he was referring
Yeah.
to the fact that he was gonna be a vampire, so he could just start killing people.
Yeah, no.
No, I think he was referring to the fact that
It's
what
like-
he was about to do is very illegal.
Mhm.
Speaking of, they do it on international waters.
So technically,
Wasn't
you're good to
illegal-
go, Morbius.
wasn't illegal.
Yeah.
And then the police were like, "It's okay because we didn't even like those guys anyways. You can just go kill anyone you want in
Yeah.
international
And they're
waters."
like, but you killed a nurse.
so
Well, he
if
didn't
there's
actually,
one
but-
thing I take away from this movie,
Mhm.
it is to kill people on international waters.
Because then you're scot-free.
Because then you're scot-free, especially if they're
'Cause then
mercenaries
Tyrese
for hire,
from-
because they probably have reasons they should have been killed.
Because then Tyrese from Fast and Furious won't arrest you.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I want to talk about my two favorite characters from this film. We have Agent Simon Stroud and Agent Rodriguez,
Mm.
who 1000% should have had a much larger part in this film, because them trying to piece together this mystery was so much more entertaining and compelling than
Yeah.
anything else in this film.
I really liked how one of them was just like, bite marks, drain of blood. Yep, that's a vampire. We're in a universe where that can be
Yeah.
possible, and that is what I'm going with. And they
Mhm.
no one questioned. No one
Yeah.
was just like,
What do you mean a vampire?
kidding, right?
Yeah,
Like a
so-
vampire? No, they just were dead
Yeah.
set on a vampire being it.
They called it right on the
So
first try.
Maybe they're okay with it because of Venom.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Confirmed
like
in this
Venom.
movie.
This is the
A,
Venom
Venom
universe.
is confirmed. I'm 99.99% certain it's the Venom universe.
Yeah.
If it's not, Sony is even
Sony's
dumber
missing out.
than we thought.
Yeah.
Not even necessarily missing out because there's nothing here. There's nothing. But it's stupid.
I was just about to ask you guys both, what works in this film?
What works in this film are the moments where you're watching it and you go, this could have been a good movie. There's a few times when you're like, oh, that's intriguing. I think the opening was really bad.
Yeah.
But I think after the opening, like the exposition of the movie where they do the experiment and like they're setting up all
I
the
thought
all
the
the
exposition
characters.
was fine. I was
I
like,
thought it was
I
okay.
saw no
Like,
problem with it.
I really wasn't like disliking the movie until I'd say, should we jump in? No, we shouldn't jump in.
Well,
spoilers yet.
No.
We already talked about it.
something-
When Lucian becomes a vampire, I'd say at that point in the film is like a clear. It kind of fell off a
Maybe.
lot.
The down part on that is
Wasn't
that's
much
like
to fall, but man, did they fall.
worst part about that is that's at like the 40-minute mark in this hour and 45 minutes. So we have an hour more of this film that we have to sit through.
This might be a hot take, but I did like the visual effects with everything becoming like fog.
That was cool.
when he.
It doesn't make sense. It
I
looks
think
cool.
no. I think the reason is it's how he sees the world with his like echolocation.
I think he's seeing if like this were to look like a sound, it would kind of look like it just like started like falling out. Like if you like the vibrations made off of this would probably look like pretty like soft.
Yeah.
And like to him, he would like see like the material that this is kind of just like bouncing off, I guess. I don't know.
And it looked
I think
pretty
it just
cool.
was supposed to look cool.
It looked
looks
cool
cool.
in the fight scenes.
Mhm.
Too much slow motion in the fight scenes. They really did a lot of slow
There's
motion.
a lot.
Well, let's calm down. The
Okay.
question of what doesn't work will be right
Yeah,
after.
yeah,
this.
We're talking about what works.
The best part of this film, besides the two agents, I will say, is when he the 40 seconds where we really got a solidly good part of the film where he's like, I just had the blood and the location works. I'm getting increased speed and everything. What else can I do? How does this echolocation work? Then immediately afterwards, he's like, I'm going to lock myself in this room and see what happens. We're like,
yeah.
That is not
Yeah.
a good idea.
I'm gonna lock myself in this room, and I'm just not gonna drink the one thing that keeps me sane. Good idea, guys.
and then his buddy comes by and he's like, hey man, I heard you might have been a vampire. What's going on? I need blood.
Yeah.
blood, please.
Your blood, like that was so. There were a
it's so
lot of
funny.
moments in this movie where you're just like, that's stupid. Why
Yeah.
would they
Yeah.
do that?
There were a lot of lines in this movie where you're like, that was stupid. Why did
Yes.
they do that? I guess we're already on the what
what
doesn't
doesn't work? Most of this film.
Most
a lot
of the
the slow-
dialogue.
a lot of the slow mo,
The slow-mo
the
sequences.
shoehorned "I'm Venom." I
The
hated that.
shoehorned I'm Venom reference, that was way better in the trailer.
It was way better in the trailer because it's just kidding. I'm Dr. Michael Morbius, and they removed that.
Yeah.
Like that was the better part. They should have removed the "I'm Venom" part. They should
Yeah.
they should just had him like snarl at the dude.
Yeah.
We already talked about this. A lot of voice lines that did not match with what the actors were actually like.
Yeah, that
moving,
happened.
their
I
mouths
noticed
moving.
it 3 times.
Probably
There's
more.
probably more.
In one of like the most
But-
critical scenes too, where like
It was a
what his-
close-up shot. Most of them were far back. Jared Leto is saying something, but his mouth is moving, but it doesn't really match.
Mhm.
This one, we noticed it specifically because he made an
person
M
is-
sound and his mouth didn't fucking close. He made. Go ahead, try.
His person.
No, try. Try make an M sound without closing your mouth.
Was
I want
that
you
your
to try.
attempt?
Yeah, no, go ahead, try. You can say N.
No, you can't. You
Yeah,
can't.
Can't say
but
N.
so someone was attacked and is dying, and they look at Michael Morbius and they're like, "Find him," and they're like, well, "That didn't. That wasn't what he
it's
said."
Him. It
Yeah.
was the and I was like,
You have to. Can you say "find him" for
Yeah.
me?
you have to find him.
And you're
Yeah,
like,
pretty
he
much.
never closed his mouth on that.
Like he
Yeah.
was talking, but it wasn't what he was saying.
Anything
Anywho,
else?
Most of the cool, intriguing parts of the trailer
Mm.
were taken out completely. There
Yeah.
is no Spider-Man of any sorts that is
Yeah.
painted on a wall that says "murderer," so we don't know what Spider-Man, if
Yeah.
there is one.
I'm gonna
this-
hop in
this
now.
universe.
Here's my better idea for this movie. You do the 40-minute exposition all the same. It doesn't matter. He
Mhm.
jumps off the boat.
Mhm.
Then you cut to where the police is looking for Morbius, and also Spider-Man is looking for Morbius. But this is not a Spider-Man film. This is still a Morbius film. So in this film, even though Spider-Man's not the bad guy, he's the antagonist. That would have been such a cool route to go down.
And in the
but they didn't do it.
And in the conclusion, when they have the final
They
fight
probably
and
coulda.
Morbius says his thing and he figures out what's going on, he lets Morbius get away. And then the police are like, what happened?
Mhm.
And then Spider-Man becomes more of a public enemy, as he is in the comics. And so like the police are even more like standoffish of him.
yeah.
So it sets up things for like, oh, cool, that's Spider-Man, whichever they chose, because even though there's a Venom reference, it could have been Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man for all we know. But it wasn't.
It's the newspaper from Tobey Maguire's universe. So,
Yeah, they could just say, "Oh, also Andrew Garfield's universe."
but we
They did the
never
Daily
saw
Bugle.
it in that, right?
Anywho, slight spoilers for anyone who does not want anything in this movie to be ruined for you. There are 2 post-credit scenes, so if you don't want to know about them, get out and come back after you
We pretty
realize
much
I don't
spoiled
want
the
to
whole
watch this
movie
movie
already, but not
without even
really.
spoiling, because it's
Not
all in
really.
the trailers.
You just need to watch the trailer.
Yeah.
And even then, that's a better movie than the one we ended up
because
watching.
there's Spider-Man in it.
Anywho, spoilers. Here we are. Michael Keaton's back as Batman.
Yeah.
Sorry,
they
let me
put
get this right.
Batman in this movie.
I heard this wrong. I'm getting reports from Sony. Oh no, they just took the better villain from Spider-Man: Homecoming and threw him into this universe.
Yes.
As a after
So,
effect of
Let's discuss
Doctor
Spider-Man
Strange's
No Way
spell.
Home and the spell. So at the end of the movie,
Mhm.
he casts a spell.
Mhm.
Everyone forgets Peter Parker. Presumably, I will even limit it to Earth in
Mhm.
that universe.
yeah,
right?
sure.
Just keep it as narrow as we possibly can. The spell, by doing so, because no one knows who that Peter Parker is, they should all get out of that universe.
Mm,
If they were from a different universe.
yeah.
But people like Ned, MJ, Doctor Strange, everyone on Earth who knew Peter Parker,
Even Michael Keaton.
they stayed in that universe. But not Vulture. No. At the end of No Way Home, he goes to a different universe.
Well, let's say in this hypothetical, this is Andrew Garfield's universe,
Mhm.
and on the one of the people that he stopped pulling his punches for was that version of Vulture. And so then he gets focused like, oh, they don't have an Adrian Toomes. Let's do that one. Put him over there. There, now we're good.
It could be.
It could be. Anyways, Adrian Toomes, for whatever reason, in that universe, is not the Vulture, or he's dead from Spider-Man beating his head into a pulp.
Or
He gets
doesn't
released.
exist, but it seems like he exists based on the name that they.
Yeah.
Like, it seems like he's like a public figure
But
almost.
the odd thing about that is that's the end of the post-credit scene. And kind of like, oh, weird.
Oh, and then it
Yeah.
goes back to the epileptic.
If you have
Epileptic credits.
if you have even the slightest bit of like nausea attached to moving lights and shapes,
flashing lights. Please do not. I'm not even kidding. Don't watch.
Don't
the credits.
watch
It's
the
really,
credits.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I actually got nauseous watching it.
It's,
It was so much that didn't make any sense
Yeah.
too, because the
normally
credits
in
could have been like
movies,
the
don't they have to
echolocation
give,
thing.
Yeah.
like warnings for that, like accessibility.
Well, the thing
warnings?
is,
I
no
feel like
one's
going-
watching Morbius.
oh,
So.
okay.
Good
No one
point.
went and watched
No,
it.
I feel like when you're going to the movies, you already
you are there under the pretense.
You're more
you're under the
cognizant
pretense
of
that,
that?
Sure.
Yeah, I feel
but
like
also they could have done something that wouldn't have triggered seizures in people who have that.
Oh, not really a spoiler, but we didn't talk about it earlier. When I say Morbius, what color comes to your mind when you write out his name?
Blue.
I think
blue?
black.
Well, what about hot pink? Because
Good
that is
point.
the color that they picked not once in the beginning when they go Morbius, and then at the end when they're like, "You just watch
And-
Morbius." Parentheses, we're sorry.
Want to know
Yeah.
what makes even less sense?
Hmm.
When he's flying, his color is purple.
So they didn't even go with
So
purple.
they didn't even like.
Yeah,
They should have like
didn't make sense.
made it one way or the other. You know, purple lettering or pink trail.
Yeah.
I guess.
Anywho, the second post-credit scene, and you're like, "Well, that's a weird post-credit scene. It seems like nothing really happened." You're correct.
It did.
The second thing, we get a bit of an Audi commercial as Jared Leto, who we now know can fly, drives
Driving a
somewhere into
car.
the desert, and then just kind of waiting there. And then we see something off in the distance, and we're like, "Oh, is this going to tie into?" And we'll know which Spider-Man is. Oh, it's Michael Keaton that just got released from prison.
He's in
Did
a
he
new
build
Vulture
a
costume.
new Vulture costume, or did
Yep.
he just?
And here's why we know it was right after that too. Well, okay. I guess we don't know
We could say like
when No
we'll
Way
give-
Home happened in comparison to Morbius, right? But it seems like
We'll give him a grace period of a month. You
sure.
can't build the Vulture
Because
wings in a
Morbius in
month.
that post-credit scene, he's still doing his watch thing,
Yeah.
Oh,
which
that's
means it's
true.
still within like a decent amount of time after he like got the powers.
Yeah.
That or he's drinking regular blood.
He
Yeah,
could
and he's
be.
just full on goes new.
Yeah.
But then why is he timing it?
But the
Shouldn't
thing
he
is-
not need to time it?
He should still probably need to take it every 6 hours.
Morbius
no?
ends this
Maybe.
film as a anti-hero of sorts, not a villain.
Mm.
Vulture shows up. He's like, oh, and this, like you could tell this is a reshoot. Michael Keaton stays in
Yeah.
the suit the whole time. Oh, it's Spider-Man. I'm still from here. This Spider-Man probably did it. What if we
I've read a lot about you, Doc. I'm not quite sure how I got here.
I think
I
it
think it has something to do with Spider-Man.
You want to fight
I
him?
was thinking that a couple of guys like us could get together to do some good.
What says
Intriguing.
That was word for word, by the way.
word for word.
Like,
It was word for word. I memorized it after I saw it on Twitter. I saw it one time and I had it memorized, ingrained in my brain because it's the cheesiest dialogue I've ever heard.
Intriguing.
What says you, me, and I don't know, 4 other villains?
We'll call ourselves the Sinister
This is,
Six.
I'm spitballing right now, and then we beat the crap out of whoever Spider-Man this is.
Why
it doesn't
would
even
be
make sense for
Spider-Man's
Vulture
fault?
to fight this
Vulture
one.
was in prison and then he teleported to prison and went Spider-Man. Like what? Why is that Spider-Man's fault?
That's a real J. Jonah Jameson response. But I don't want to talk about this movie any longer.
I'm
So
okay
do
with
I.
that.
What do we give this film out of 3 Dracula serums that he
That is a
takes?
very small number to make fractions of.
It is.
I'm giving it a 1. Because I think 33 is a solid percent for this film.
I will give
1.8.
A
1.8?
1.75.
Really?
Mhm.
You guys like this movie way more
I
than
give it a
did.
60, and I'm
Dude,
pretty sure
don't say
1.8
we
is a
like this.
60.
Don't even say we like
Yeah.
this movie
Look,
because
it was-
that's not no.
It
no.
was fine, and then you got hit with all the dialogue,
the
and
CGI, the
yeah,
bad plot. It just all kind of just
It
tumbled
compounded
downhill.
towards the end.
It ended how you would expect a one-off superhero movie to end back in the early 2000s.
Yes.
It started off okay.
So I gave it
I
a 60.
think that maybe there was a good script for Morbius out there. Maybe there was a good ending for this movie,
Somewhere out there.
but we didn't get it.
Oh, also another thing. The agent...
Had to sneeze.
Thank
Went
Screw
away.
you, man.
the agent, who's played by Tyrese, he has this cool like robot thing on his arm.
Yeah.
No reason why, because we don't have the scene where he shows it to us at all. He wears the
Yeah.
jacket the whole time, and then he shows up at the final scene. There is so much that could have gotten taken out from this film. I'm gonna leave
Mhm.
before I get off into a rant because this is gonna get
'Cause
so
it
bad.
really could.
Oh wait, we forgot one thing. Dr. Martine got turned into a vampire at the very
Okay,
end.
you know what?
God.
That's it. I'm doing the rant. I'm sorry. This movie doesn't make any fucking sense in the slightest bit. This is one of the worst films I've seen. This fucking collapses way over Dear Evan Hansen. Because you know what Dear Evan Hansen had? It had a fucking song in it to me. Go, oh, this movie sucks, but I
Ooh,
can
I'm
hear to
dancing.
something. It's better than Clifford because the fucking CGI in Clifford is better. You know how many times they've looked at the camera and went, I'm like, that's the take that they went with. They didn't want to clean that up. They delayed this movie for 2 years, and they didn't at once go, this Venom shot, this vampire shot, oh, this joke
My
isn't good,
question
this
is-
line isn't good. None of it is
What
Why?
happened between December and now? Because this movie was going to release in January. So what happened after No Way Home that made them go, no, we need to delay this movie, and it's still going to be this
The
bad?
2 post-credit scenes.
The 2
It
post-credit
took them
scenes.
3 months
Yeah.
to work out that dialogue. They were really just
They
like,
were working on
how
that
do we
last
make
line,
this
and
dialogue?
they were like, "F- what does Jared Leto say?
It's like that one.
Intriguing? You did it!
Oh my god, that's okay. So Michael Keaton flies in, but who does he blame? Because he doesn't know how he got here. What if Spider-Man did it? How would he know that? Who the cares, man? We have 2 minutes before this movie goes out.
It's like that one meme with the scientists in a lab where it's like Morbius directors trying to curate the absolute worst post-credit scene to ever exist.
They were like, how can we make No Way Home worse? Like they fucking made No Way Home worse after the movie came out.
This is
How do you do that?
This is the
do you
worst
do that?
thing that Sony has made connected to Spider-Man. For
Yes.
every good movie, they are following in DC's footsteps at this point because they're doing one good thing 4 steps back. But you know what DC did? They released the Batman. You know what we should have gotten? Anything even marginally close to that film.
Mhm.
God damn it! That movie sucked. Next
It
week,
did.
we will be back to be reviewing Sonic 2.
Just hopefully much better.
Well,
will be.
Sonic was the best movie of 2020, so
Sonic
sky's
2,
the limit.
Bound to be better.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Good night.